the PNT TV network, the Femqueer Entertainment website.
Hi, how are you?
I'm phenomenal. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty good. You know what, these Skype interview things, it's like, oh my God, people are actually going to see me. I'm used to just answering questions, not actually having my face be out there.
I have to thank you because a lot of my members, followers, fans will really, really like this because, as you said, it's very hard to get any words from you on camera. So, so this is a treat to us. So thank you very, very much for agreeing to this.
Well, it's my pleasure. I will try not to sound like an idiot.
I doubt that very much.
That's always my goal.
Well, okay. Well, everybody knows who you are, but for the purposes of those who don't, let me introduce director, producer, and now actress Marina Rice-Bader, who is also the head of Soul Kiss Films. I just had the pleasure of watching your upcoming film, Anatomy of a Love Scene, and oh my God, it left me speechless because it's quite, oh my God. I thought that I loved your previous work before, but this is something else.
Thank you. You were so sweet to say that. This is my first film that I directed.
Yes,
so
yes.
I really appreciate that.
Well, I was saying that, after, back-to-back highly successful productions from your company, why did you decide to direct this one?
Well, T, the truth of it is, I like to have my hands on absolutely every aspect of a project, and so directing made sense to me because I have a very specific way of seeing things, very specific way of wanting to tell a story. I was a photographer for 18 years before I decided to start filmmaking, and so my number one goal when I was a photographer was to create a story with a still image.
Okay.
No matter what the photo was for, there had to be a story behind it, and it had to make sense to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't take it.
Right.
And so it's sort of a natural, and honestly, my one true love for my entire life has been films. When I was a kid, I used to, which is why I didn't really do well in school, I would spend my days sitting in classrooms, staring out the window, imagining movie scenarios for myself. I would be out there playing out some great story, while my body was sitting in freaking biology class, and which explains the D. But, it's been something that I've always loved, and I finally just got the cojones to do it.
Well, I have to say I can totally relate, except for the D part. Here's the thing. Mona told me that you will be taking the unusual step to premiere this gem online, which is mind-boggling, I have to say. But I love it. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
But how? Why? How? I mean, I'm shocked. Can you explain?
I know. Well, yes, I can explain. And I had to put on my glasses, even though it's very kind of glary. It's because I really like to see you. And I can't see anything if I don't have my glasses on, so I'll probably put them on and off. Yes, well, I did it for a couple reasons. Number one, I wanted to try a new type of distribution model for myself, and the last two films went a very traditional distribution route. You do the festivals, 6 months later or whatever, you do your VOD, which is video on demand, and then a month later you do DVD release. But people have to wait so long, and I feel like, why? Why make them wait? Why wait to have people enjoy the film? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I have no idea how it's going to work out. I hope and pray that it will be tremendously successful, because if that works, I would like to just keep on trucking with that model. And you know what else is great? with the other traditional release models, you never know who in the world is watching your film. When they're watching, I mean, we released in the U.S. For VOD in January for, I think, both my previous films, but you couldn't watch them in France for like 3 months. So imagine the amount of pirating, not because people wanted to, but simply because they couldn't get it any other way. And so I'm trying to do multiple things. I'm trying to make my fans happy. I'm trying to, not do the brutal wait. I mean, as you know, there's not a plethora of titles in lesbian cinema world. And so my singular goal with Soul Kiss is to fix that issue, to just keep, bringing new product, new talent, whatever, to this niche. And so I don't want to be 6 months from now worrying about the film coming out. I want to be making a new one. So I already want Anatomy of a Love Scene to be out in the world while I'm creating my next project, and then the same thing down the road. And also to keep the piracy at bay. I feel like if someone has the opportunity to pay me $5 to watch a brand new film, that they're going to do it, because maybe people know, maybe they don't, but for the entire time I'm making a film, I don't pay myself a dime. I make no money. So for like 6 months, a year, whatever, I have no income from that project. So I'm hoping that people will in fact pay that $5 so that I can continue to pay my rent and feed my 4 kids and make more movies.
Well, I want you to let everyone know when it'll be available, how it'll be available, and where.
Okay. Well, what's really exciting is we have our world premiere at Outfest here in Los Angeles on July 18th.
Yes.
And our film will be available the very next day after the Los Angeles premiere, online, worldwide, anywhere and everywhere that folks get internet. We're going to have multiple languages in the way of subtitles, so someone in Portugal can actually watch the film and understand it. So anatomyofalovescene.com, that's SEEN, anatomyofalovescene.com, as of July 19th, you go there, you can watch the movie. That's it.
All right.
July 19th.
Well, in editing, it will be on the screen right now for everyone to see.
That's awesome. Yay.
Oh my God. But talking about, the story and the film and really the meat of what it is that we want to get into, it's an original concept.
Thank you.
And that's putting it lightly. You've taken a romantic a concept, a storyline, and then just turned it on its head. I want everyone to know exactly what was the inspiration behind it, first of all.
Oh, well, I didn't have to look far for the inspiration, because I am completely and utterly dumbfounded by adult love. It blows my mind. I'm so, I don't want to use the word envious because it's such an ugly word, but I really think the people who have found true love and can hang on to it and really do it well are so very blessed. I think they should be grateful every day of their lives. It has eluded me. Mm-hmm. And so I knew I wanted to make a film that really dealt with love in its basic its basic concept and all the different things that it can mean, and all the highs and the lows and the beauty and just the brutal aspect of it. And then I decided I wanted to make this movie, and I had to have it filmed within a month. So I had our executive producer, Jan Miller-Coran, was lovely enough to say, well, look, this is what I can invest right now. So I said, hey, awesome, I can make a movie for that. But what it did was having that budget dictated a 5-day shoot. It dictated one location. And I'm like, so what world can I bring people into that they don't normally have the opportunity to visit? Because those are my favorite movies. Whether it's aliens taking me into outer space, or, you know, Lord of the Rings taking me to Middle Earth, or whatever. So I'm like, how can I do that on a wee smaller scale? And so I decided to take people behind the scenes on a film set. And thank you. You know, and my challenges in the past with filming love scenes and that kind of thing, I think it's an interesting thing for folks to be able to get to see. So it's the whole thing about love and these 4 women and the completely different places they're coming from and their own experiences with that 4-letter word, and then put it in a place where people don't usually get to go. And I thought that would be interesting. Also, how a love scene actually gets filmed, I thought would be interesting as well.
I have to tell you, as a writer who is trying to get into film, my actresses usually tell me it's the most boring thing, but when you got it, you got it. Straight to the next question, which was the phenomenal chemistry that these 2 leads had.
Yes.
Was palpable. And I noticed this is a theme with your films, which is what, I mean, I have this nod to you writing and everything else, but I have to say, your real draw, everyone comes to your films for the main reason that for some reason, you always find the right pair of ladies to act in your films. And
yes.
I think you should just give your cast, if you do the casting yourself, give yourself a gold star, because you've done it again. And I think this is the best of them, because they are incredible on screen. You can actually feel it from what you're seeing. And,
Thank you.
You know, and didn't have to say anything, actually. It was like throughout the entire film.
I know. They were so phenomenal, and I feel so grateful to have found them in what really was a very short amount of time. I mean, honestly, this whole film kind of has a life of its own, I want to say, and I'm just sort of steering it in the direction that it wants to go in. I mean, what are the odds that you start casting and a week later you have these 2 incredible women?
You're kidding me, right?
No, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
And well, I was probably up until 3 or 4 in the morning for a good 4 or 5 nights, going through all the online submissions. There were thousands of submissions between all of the roles, and then doing my due diligence and looking at footage and et cetera, et cetera. So by the time I actually got to the audition stage, which the first meeting wasn't even an audition. I wanted to just meet the women in a casual setting so they weren't nervous, you know, to find out who they were just as a human being, because when you do a completely improvised film, which this was, they really need to be a personality and that doesn't have to work too hard to get to the character,
right.
You know, because there's already a lot to do with improvisation. And so if you're trying to act the character and then improvise, it can be a little challenging, I think. And there was, like I said, we only had 2 weeks of pre-prep. Mm-hmm. So, which is not much for those of you in film land. You know, for a feature, maybe you have 6 weeks. So it was interesting. And I refused to finish the outline until I actually had my actors cast. So my poor DP and crew didn't have the full outline to the film until probably 3 days before we started shooting. God bless them all. They rocked my world. They did not, they had no fear. Almost my entire crew was a young group of recent AFI graduates.
Okay.
American Film Institute. So it was phenomenal. They were all young. They weren't jaded. They were like, yes, we could do it.
Well, the thing about it is that, as I said, congratulations, or I hope you can tell them congratulations on their performances,
I will.
including yours, I must say. Well,
Oh,
well, 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 well. I didn't
thank you.
expect that one.
I
Um,
well, thank you very much. I was, the thing was I was so busy with everything else because it was such a condensed amount of time that I had to get everything ready, that if the thought crept into my head, what if you mess up your movie because you're in it? I just was too busy. I couldn't
well,
even,
I
I'm
have
like,
to reassure you that you provided, which is the reason was my surprise, is that one, we've never seen you act,
right,
but that you were the elastic emotional stick for the bridge between the two couples. And I don't
right.
think many people, well, I mean, I noticed that that the film wasn't just based on the main two, but really the underlying second tier storyline.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and so you basically bridge the gap between the two, where we were rooting tremendously for your partner. I forgot her name. Sorry. Who played
Is
your
that Anne?
partner? Yes.
Oh, Anne, she's actually
Yes,
my,
Anne. Right.
Anne is my, is Kara's assistant and has been her assistant for 15 years. And I don't want to say too much about Anne because that's a little surprise in the film. I really
Yes,
haven't
yes,
highlighted
yes,
any.
yes. So that's why
But
I'm kind of like just jumping over that.
I know. I love Constance, the woman who played the role of Anne. I loved her so much. She originally came in to read for the role of Mal, but after she sat down for a few minutes, I said, "Oh, I know you came in to read for this, but can you please be my Anne? You're perfect. You're just right." And now I can't imagine anyone else who would have been able to do such a great job.
Was the spiritual theme of the film on her, or was that, your idea? Because it went from the beginning to the end, and I don't think anybody will miss that feel of that, spiritual energy that was being, given throughout the film.
Yeah, Anne has a bit of magic to her, and I did talk to Constance about who I wanted Anne to be within the film. She's sort of the glue. She kind of comes in under the radar, but and Constance brought so much to the character that her import grew as well.
Hmm.
So what she brought to it was phenomenal. But I always like a little bit of magic to what I do one way or another, and you'll see it in every other film that I
Oh,
do.
yes, I did.
Yeah, so she was wonderful. I love her so much.
Is it my understanding that, I don't know if I got this right, but the script, the dialogue was mostly improvised?
It was fully improvised. I know. Look, we made the whole film in 30 days. In 30 days, it was in the can. And so I did not have time to write a script. I'm like, I have this story rolling around in my head. So we made this film based on a 15-page outline. And of course, when we would go into a scene, we would beat it out and talk about the character arcs and the goals and everything else, because I had all that in my mind. But it's like, it worked out to be so fantastic because I wanted to make a film that was very organic and very visceral and felt real, not an acted film. And so what better way to do that than give phenomenally talented actors, their goals and let them just live those moments. That's why you won't find a second of acting in that whole film, because nobody really knew what was coming out or what was coming at them. It was always real.
You have me even more speechless now. I mean, I have to take a look at it again, and I have to say I watched it twice because I went through the first film first time, and I was like, okay, let's rewind that. And then I watched it again. I was like, okay, pause, rewind. I was like, pausing. But I have to say, the film at the end of the day absolutely reflected the title. I didn't think that it was going to. You felt, as you said, the very meat of it, not, the fantasized, giddy, sometimes that you feel from films, but it gave you enough realism that, it was like, started to say, no, they have to be together.
I know they're not. They're not. I know they were. I was so when I did a chemistry read, and I have to tell you the most important thing in casting. And Nicole Kahn, who wrote and directed the first two films that I exec produced, and Elena Undone and A Perfect Ending. She and I are in complete agreement in that you have to do a chemistry test. Mm-hmm. The people that you really feel are appropriate for the roles and are talented actors, they have to work. They might be freaking Meryl Streep on their own, but if they don't have chemistry with who they're working with, all that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Indeed. But what I'm wondering is I mean, I mentioned that, the chemistry of your actors is one of the main reasons that, we come to see your films. The second reason is your love scene. And the fact that you found these actresses in 5 days is what you're saying? And
yes.
But how did usually, you have to coax, or not coax, but nurture actresses into the character, how did you do this?
No, this has been, I almost hesitate to say it, but it was, especially since the film, one of the things the film is supposed to reflect is how challenging it can be mm-hmm. to create a beautiful love scene. This was I'm so grateful. These two women, Sharon and Jill, they come from modeling backgrounds. So they're completely comfortable with their bodies. They're used to being, mostly naked in front of strangers, et cetera, et cetera. And they really liked each other as human beings. They were really comfortable and they really trusted each other. And that's the other thing that's super important is in order to create a beautiful love scene, you have to trust your partner. And they have to trust their director. And these girls were 100% in from the get-go. And we filmed that love scene on day one. It was the first shot up, the first thing that they did. And I had a very good reason for that. I know, right? I had a very good reason for that because the love scene, the original love scene that we shot first up happened 6 months previously. Mm-hmm. To when our story begins. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have any of the layers of conflict and pain and everything else, piled on top. So I wanted my actors to have free rein to do this one part that's beautiful and connected without having to have, gone deep for all the other stuff. And once we finished that, then they could go into all that deep emotional stuff. So I really did that for them. So, and it worked out beautifully because they really got to be into that moment. And during that love scene is when they fall in love, when their characters fall in love. So I wanted them to just be able to go there. And then once we got finished with that, they were able to do all their, their stuff. Their stuff.
I have to say that I'm beginning. I'm learning more about the film, and I already came into it loving it. Now you just have me speechless. I don't know if these questions make sense anymore. Well, I know that your leads are absolute newcomers, and
yes,
that they put down a performance or like this. And to do it in a very visceral form and without a script, it's mind blowing, and you have to use them again, please.
Yes.
I'm begging for everybody I know, but
I'll see what I can do,
please. And but the intimacy and the intensity between them in every part, not even when they were in bed, but when they were just talking,
yes.
Just from their looks, mm-hmm. The way they looked at each other was tremendous.
Yes.
And
these girls go deep, man. They go deep.
I mean, I did a lot of research to see if they were lesbians because I have to tell you, it makes me wonder about my sexuality.
I know. Well, I will let them speak to their own experience, but there's something there somewhere.
It's like, no, why? Um, the thing about it is that I don't want to give away anything in the film, so I'm gonna try to use this question as
Okay.
delicately as I can.
Okay.
There's a very big surprise to me, that is, in the film. Was the way people will react to the film intentional, or you wanted to leave them up to their own devices?
Completely up to their own devices. I want to allow avenues for folks to create the ending that makes sense to them, because everyone sees love in a different way. Everyone has a different experience. And, I didn't want to just go, okay, this is love. This is the end to the movie. Because there is no end. And love can be 100 different things. And that's one of the reasons I made this movie. And I'm so tired of honestly, I appreciate a great love story, but I'm, one of the things that makes me nuts is just movie after movie after movie and this, beautiful love on a platter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the notion of it and what it is. And it would be nice if it was that way, but I know very few people who experience love, that way. There's some of that in the film, and certainly true love is addressed in the film and all its different colors and textures and layers. But I like the idea of people being able to make up their own mind.
Which is unusual that you say that, because for your two films before that I have on my shelf staring at me right now, it was a very different matter.
Yes, and that was a different filmmaker. Even though I had my hands on many parts of those films, and A Perfect Ending came from a story idea that I had and all those things, and Elena Undone was based on my story, I did not write or direct those films.
I know.
So remember that you have a different filmmaker here, and I have a very different way of telling a story than Nicole does.
But I have to say, although the first one was a happy ending, the second one was a bit of a minefield. This one makes that look as if you're running through fields of poppies. That's all. That's all I can say. But just when you are about to drown in your milk, our surprise pops up. So
yes,
I'm not going to leave people to think that, oh God, another sad ending.
No.
So it's exactly how you because I had that feeling, but I just wanted you to to reiterate. But I have to ask. I saw that you have your producer, but I didn't see a producing credit to you on this film. Any particular reason why?
Oh, you know what? I thought writer, director, actor was enough, and so I actually where I was a producer on Raven's Touch, which hasn't been released yet. That should be released this fall. I opted to hire a producer to take care of all the stuff because I found that was a big mistake that I made last time because I tried to take on too much. And so I'm not going to do that anymore. my first AD, Kieran, recommended Levi for the producer job, and yeah.
Talking about Raven's Touch, I see that that's next on the agenda for Soul
Yes.
Kids.
Yes.
can you give me a few details about it? Because, of course, people will be hammering as to what's next, although they haven't seen this one yet.
I know, right? Well, like I said, it should be out this fall. We actually, we have a new editor with hands on it who's telling the story in a bit of a different way, a bit that's, you know, has more of the qualities that I was looking for in that story. And our audience will be happy to know that it stars the phenomenal Drea Weber from A Marine Story and The Gymnast, and Tracy Dinwiddie, ta-da, Peyton from Elena Undone.
Don't forget Drea, please.
I know. Oh, who can forget Drea? It's not possible. Drea is a phenom.
She is basically one of those icons in lesbian cinema, period.
Yes.
She is a legend. Her energy, her face, her body.
She's a Renaissance woman is what she is.
Indeed.
She has so many different talents that it's kind of...
sickening.
Yes. Damn it, Drea. You phenom.
And I see that she shares directing credit as well.
Yes. Drea, when I had this idea, I went to Drea and I said, what do you think about working together? And the basic story concept was mine, but she wanted to take on writing the script. So she wrote the script and we directed together and I produced it. And yeah, she's a joy, just in all aspects. Truly, she's a phenomenal human being. I didn't know her that well before I went to her. I'd only met her a few times at some various functions, and yeah, she's wonderful. You know, she's got so many other things that she does. She's I think right now she's somewhere doing a one of her aerial. You know, not only is she a phenomenal aerial artist, like world renowned.
Yeah, because isn't she the aerial coach for Pink?
Yes. Oh, yes. Everything that
I
Pink
told you I love Drea, don't I?
Yes. Pink gives it up to Drea every chance that she can get, because Drea is the one who's responsible for where she is now with her body and her health and her performances and all that. She's also a phenomenal singer, and we know a wonderful actress. I know. I know.
That.
Shut up. I know. I could go on about Drea.
Just like I didn't, not to cut across you, but I saw a clip from that I got from the Facebook page about Tracy's trapeze performance, and that was phenomenal.
Yeah, Tracy
that
is
came
getting
from left field.
I know. She's been taking like trapeze classes and stuff, and you know she's got a tremendously great physique, and she just finished the AIDS life cycle ride again, and she's a tremendous woman out there in the world.
Well, from what I've read of the story, I can't wait for that too, for that film as well. But for that one, will you be doing which route will you be going? The traditional route, or you have to see how this goes?
I am going to see how this goes. I have a tremendous amount of faith in this way of doing it. You know, the interesting thing is trying to figure out how do I get the word out in the UK? How do I get the word out in Canada, in Japan, in Portugal, in Australia? Although I'm happy to say I'm doing a piece with an Australian radio station. But, you know, if this is going to work in a worldwide release manner, and I'm sort of chugging the engine along myself, how do I get to all those folks? And that's what I'm working on. Because bloggers have a tremendous amount of reach these days. You know, they don't have to be big publications or something to get the word out, but I do want to get the word out. I'm happy to say that one of my dear friends owns onemorelesbian.com. Have you been to the site One More Lesbian? And so I don't, right? Well, I can't assume anything, But she, launched our trailer, which now is, I think, between 170 and 180,000 views, which is great. And they have a worldwide reach. So I'm doing a little series of videos for them talking about the worldwide release. So hopefully that will start, that'll be the rock in the water that causes the ripple effect, and eventually folks will find out. So
Well, I'm happy to announce that. Well, my reach is more third world countries, the Caribbean and the Middle East for some reason, and especially in the South Seas. And I put out your trailer in one of my blogs because, well, of course, PNT TV is a network of blogs. Put it out in our trailer blog and in Nanab, and it has reached, I think it's 14,000 views.
Oh, that's great.
And,
Thank you for doing that.
No problem.
That is so sweet.
And, people from Dubai and India and Pakistan and Iran and stuff like that look at the trailer and stuff like that. So that's my audience. That's who we get to. Because
that's phenomenal. Because that's an audience under normal circumstances on my own I might not be able to reach.
That's the thing. They're willing to give and they're willing to participate, but they have to do it always.
Yes, under a dark looming, deathly shadow.
Yeah. So on PNT TV we offer all the web series. I try to get all these filmmakers who do web series that is offered on PNT TV, so they get to watch it on a weekly and stuff. So they could just, like, if they were studying or they went to library, if they gave them 5 minutes of peace, they could watch it on a phone, so it's not going to be tracked. And these are the things that you have to study. And unfortunately, even if they want to get to watch your film, even if a year later of the release or 2 years after the release, I give them a link, I upload it, and I give them a link so they could watch it, because they would never be able to see it.
Well, I'm totally down with that. When it's time, I'm just going to say, hey, here's the link. Go watch it. Your fans who have to watch it under the radar, just let them watch it. They don't have to pay anything. Oh God.
But onto we totally sidetracked there. But I do want to ask, what's next for you besides after Raven? Yeah.
Yep. Well, I'm going to be shooting a film this fall, late fall, end of the year, that will bring the lovely ladies out there into a world 99.9 of them have never been to, and that will be a surprise, a big surprise. Because even though I can't take them to Avatar World or outer space, I can take them to planetary new places they have never been before. So, and that will be ready for next summer, and then next fall, fall of 2015, is my heart movie called Red Sky Theater. But I won't be ready for that until next fall, because the location I found, which is a lovely little town called Prescott, Arizona, which I fell in love with, that is where I want to film it, and the best time to film there is in the fall. So I knew I wouldn't be ready by this fall, so that's going to be next fall. So I've got this year and next year sort of mapped out, but there's always room for another 5-day feature film for Marina Rice Bader.
Yes. Okay.
Just tucked in there amongst all the other things happening. But no, that is my goal, to continue to make lesbian themed feature films. That is all I do. That is all I want to do. And I feel like perhaps I'm one of the only production companies out there, or filmmakers out there, or whatever, where that is all I do, because I have 4 kids, man. I do not have that is just, I have to have a goal. I have to have a niche. And I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about telling women's stories, so why the heck not? Just do what I love to do.
I asked, my followers, members, if they had questions they have for you. I worked in one of them because of the trailer, because that's all they've seen so far.
Yes.
Jill seems to be their favorite.
Jill? Redhead?
Would you believe it? I was more blonde, but anyway, they've seen her in this, or they might have spot her in that on TV or whatever, and so the first one I told them I couldn't ask because I wanted to find out whether the debate going whether she's queer or not, and that I said I'm not interviewing her, so I don't go on a third base unless she's out.
Exactly.
Right. But the second one I can ask, and they wanted to find out if Soul Kiss only does films that they write, in terms of submissions of scripts and stuff like that, because you hit the nail on the head where you said that you're one of the very few
Right.
lesbian production companies that are out there that are actually doing films on a consistent basis. Do you accept or look at other writers?
Right now, no. I and the reason for that is because I've got numerous stories that I want to tell, and so as I just mentioned, for this next foreseeable few years, I've already got movies that I want to make, and at this time, I'm like, Soul Kiss Films is me. I don't even have an assistant. I have no staff. I'm hoping that eventually that will change, and then eventually I may be able to venture out into a different world. But I do find that, I kind of played with that last year, or year before, whenever it was. A well-known lesbian writer came to me and asked about adapting one of her books into a film and having Soul Kiss do that. But it was such a challenge from the beginning. When you have someone else who feels that they want to have a lot of control, then, because there can't be two bosses in my world. I don't have the time and energy for that. I can't spend 6 months dealing with a writer or an author who doesn't want to adapt their own screenplay, but yet wants to have complete control over the person that does adapt the screenplay. That kind of thing. And it's so time and energy consuming that, the good news about getting into this business so late in life is that I no longer have time for the bullshit. And I don't accept it. If I even smell it, I walk away, and I have no fear about anything anymore, because when you get to a certain age, you're past that. You're past caring what people think about you. You're past, concern of failure and, if they love you, if they hate you, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Because that can ruin and that can dictate your life. It can ruin your life, and it can keep you from doing the things that you're really passionate about and the things that you really want to do. And so finally, in my 50s, I get to a point where I go, I'm just going to do it, and who cares? I don't even care what the outcome is. I'm just going to do it because I want to do it, and, I've decided this is what I'm doing with the last third of my life. And the fact that we were accepted into Outfest, arguably it's between Outfest and Frameline as to what the world would consider the most prestigious LGBT film festival. In my mind, it's Outfest because it's in the filmmaking capital of the world, and you have a different group of people that attend it and all those other things. But once that happened, I'm like, yes, I'm not insane. I made a good choice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I could actually take a deep breath now and go on with my life. So, but I would have gone on with my life anyway, had I gotten in and had I not gotten in. But I'm just totally grateful that I can go and watch the film with the cast and the crew, because we're all located here in Los Angeles. And then afterwards, we're having a big party. We're having a Q&A. And it is the launch pad for our worldwide release. And what better place to do that in Los Angeles
than at Outfest?
At Outfest, in the town I made the film. So I'm grateful to no end. It's like my gratitude is exploding out of my ears right now. You just can't see it. I have an invisible shield.
Well, I have only two more, and then I'm out of your hair. One is with all the new concept that you have, which is, I would love to see it really work, and I will be helping as much as I can.
Thank you.
How does the financial part of that work though? Because if it is that you're giving it away online, which we all love as fans, but on a filmmaking head, how does that work? Because we want more films from you.
Right, exactly. So it's, there is some risk involved in every single thing that you do when you make movies. No matter what, every single part of it is risky. You have to be so passionate about it, and I can't imagine doing anything else. So it really has to work, people. Just really buy the movie when it's available. But no. So this is the real answer. The real answer is, in traditional distribution, you get your money very slowly, because after it's acquired and you get a minimum guarantee if you're lucky, which gets gets the distributor ownership of your film. Yes, Elena Undone and A Perfect Ending, we cannot touch those movies. A distributor takes ownership of your film, 7 years, 10 years, however long your contract is. So as the world changes, you don't get to make the decisions on what's happening with your film. They do. And so I wanted to see with this film, if I owned this film and I could do whatever I wanted with this film, what could I do? What can I do? And, the beauty is someone downloads the movie for $5. Someone rents it, I should say, renting. It's a 72-hour rental period, which I think is also lovely, because I hate those 24-hour rental periods, Just, watch that movie multiple times. Learn those lines. There are a couple of things in there that I swear a year from now, they will be part of lesbian culture. People will be quoting.
Actually, as a fanfic member myself, I can guarantee, put it on a platter. I have already listed them. The lines that you're talking about.
Girl, I'm going to fly down there and let's make a video.
Yes, please. Yes, please. You would love Trinidad.
Oh, I bet I would.
Especially during Carnival. That is a movie.
Now that's
waiting to happen. Yeah, I mean, women prancing around.
Can you imagine having a film crew in the middle of Carnival?
Yeah.
God almighty, that would be something.
That would be
something.
Mad.
To get back to the financial part of it, my hope is, you give someone your film for 7 years, and my hope is that in that 7 years, that my ability to make more, releasing the film on my own, is a realistic goal. I don't like the idea of somebody else owning my property, that I spent all my time and effort, literally blood, sweat, and tears, bringing to life, etc. And I think more and more filmmakers are taking their projects into their own hands And there's so many digital platforms out there. I am shying away from a few of them because they take too much money. They decide what your film is worth and all those things. And I want to be in control for a while. And honestly, you know, the interesting thing was, as I said earlier, so much of this film has really dictated what it wants to be, where it wants to go. And I had completely finished the edit process. The film was submitted into Outfest. I could take a breather for a second. And I sat down and I got very quiet and I said, okay, distribution. Let me think about distribution. If there's an answer out there for me, if there's a direction I'm supposed to be looking in, please let it come to me. I am open to that, you know, and you have to be open in order for things to really come to you in an honest and organic way. 30 minutes later, I open up my computer, get on my email, and there is a freaking invitation to watch Joss Whedon's new film, In Your Eyes, streaming only a few days after the film had its world premiere at Tribeca. And I'm like, what? What?
I love that man. I literally love that man.
I adore Joss Whedon. I adore him as a filmmaker. He created some of my favorite characters ever in the history of the world on the short-lived series Firefly.
Also, he is the forefront of making women the main dominant characters in action movies.
Yes. I love him for that. I just love him in always. In Firefly, there was a kick-ass female character, phenomenal. As a matter of fact, my characters, if anyone knows the show, Mal, who's played by Jill Evyn the redhead, is named after Captain Malcolm Reynolds in Firefly. And Zoe, the blonde that she's in love with in the movie, was named after his first lieutenant, Zoe. Yep.
Ooh, very cool. I'm beginning to see a theme of sci-fi loving here.
I'm a nerd for sci-fi. My character, Kara, is named after Kara Thrace from Battlestar Galactica, the new series Battlestar Galactica. And
Don't tease me about these things, please. I mean, I am... No. First, let me explain that the script that I wrote is an action lesbian film. Okay? So, yeah. Right now, I'm hoping to get it made.
Yes! Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so in my mind. I want to do, but you know, you require a bit of a budget for an action film.
Actually, here's the thing. We already made the short for no money. And it's been fairly successful when we released it on YouTube. What we've planned is to film it in Wisconsin, and my two partners, you know, one's background is in location, makeup, and you know, real set design. And the other, which is my lead actress, she is a wizard at gathering all the people, the production and stuff outside of it. And, you know, how we work out and the magic that they do already from their horror house background, and she from all these guerrilla type shoots, short films that she does. You actually will need less money than a lot of people would think, and I can make this for $20,000. I'm certain of it.
Well, I have been so honored and thrilled to talk to you today. Lovely T, you're awesome. And for your viewers and listeners, I would like to say that I appreciate you, and I do what I do for you. For those of you walking in the light, those of you who have to live among the shadows, you are a universal woman to me, and everything that I do is for your pleasure. So thank you.
Bravo. Bravo. Thank you so, so much. It has been quite an honor and a pleasure to speak with you, and I will do everything in my power to make Anatomy, thank you very much, of our scene as successful as it should.
Thank you so much, sweetie. So, mwah.
Mwah. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Bye-bye.